Got it. Right.
So here we go. Let me mute you from here. And then you've got that time just to ease down to semi-supine. Setting yourself up with your strap and your brick. And just taking those lovely, gentle, easy breaths. Just allowing yourself to let go of the day. So you know my feeling is, as I come to my mat, I'm just taking some lovely in-breaths through my nostrils, and then I'm breathing out in a sigh through my mouth. And just that real moment of release as you're breathing out through the mouth, really sighing everything that's happened to you today, releasing it. It's history, it's happened. Trying not to cling on to it, whether it was good or bad, but we have that desire, don't we? Clinging on to things if they were good, and then almost hanging on to things for dear life, even if they were not great, analysing them, trying to work ways out with them. But for the next hour or so, just allow yourself to let go of them. Even feel that you can release them into the earth, just letting them out through the feet, through the back of the body. Making the next breath out through the mouth your last sigh. And then just breathing in and out through the nostrils. And we're just going to start nice and simply, just moving the body with the breath. So as you breathe out and invite weight into the feet, lengthening the spine to the floor. The next in-breath you take, I want you to breathe in and slide the left arm up to the ceiling. Softening the shoulder at the pause at the end of the in-breath. And as you exhale, release the arm, turning the arm in the shoulder joint until it comes alongside of the left ear. Now your next in-breath is going to be an extension breath. So you're going to breathe in and imagine that you're reaching for something behind you. And then as you exhale, you're going to take a fluid arc with the arm, arcing the arm back towards the hip at the same time as turning the head to the right. And then we're going to continue with that same move. Breathing in, the arm and the head gaze towards the sky. And as you breathe out, the arm extends away alongside of the ear. Your next in-breath gives you that chance to reach for something just out of reach. And then as you exhale, you're sliding the arm in an arc forward and down towards the hip, turning the head to the right as you do so. Okay, I want you to take that twice more, just being aware of the movement of your breath, the timing of your breath, being aware of the gentle extension and release through the body. And the fourth time you make that move, so that'll be on the next little vinyasa, I'm actually going to get you to keep your head rolling over to the right. So go through the movements. As you slide the left arm down by the hip, turning the head to the right. Just gently reach into that left hand and pick up your right arm and slide the right arm up alongside of the ear so that you can bend the elbow and place the right fingertips onto the left ear. Now I'm going to do this kind of juxtaposition where I'm extending my left fingertips along the floor and I'm reaching the left side of my head up into my hand. So I'm kind of finding this space, not just in the side of the body, but also in the side of the neck. Let that right elbow relax. Keep reaching, keep extending. And then from there, as you turn the left palm to face upwards and relax the back of the hand to the floor, bring the right hand to the right side of the head and just roll the head back to center, helping the head back without losing that space that you've created at the left side of the neck. Releasing the right arm now next to the right side of the body, so you can compare left and right side. And then obviously you don't want to be walking away with this long left side of the neck and a short right side. So we're going to do exactly the same movement 4 times, breathing in, taking the right arm to the ceiling, softening in the shoulder joint and the pause at the end of the inhale. Exhaling, releasing the right arm away alongside of the ear. And then as you inhale, just take a lovely extension through the fingertips so that as you exhale, you can release the right arm down by the side of the right hip and turn the head to the left. So keep going with that movement. Another 3 times. If you can time it with your breath pattern, please do. It's a very simple sequence. Always, as you extend the right arm back to the side of the hip, using that space to turn the head to the left. Keeping the head in contact with the floor. Keeping that sense of mindfulness with movement. And then, of course, on your final time, whenever that is, pausing at the end of the exhale, keeping the head gently releasing over to the left. And then taking the left arm up alongside of the ear, wrapping it over the head. Now, instead of pressing the left hand into the head, think about pressing the right side of the head up into the left hand. Again, very subtle change of movement. So you just feel this sense that you're really lengthening into the side of the neck. After a couple of breaths in that position, gently ease out, bring the left hand to the left side of the head and assist the head to move back to the center whilst releasing the palms back down by the sides of the hips and turning the palms to face upwards. So hopefully both arms nice and extended now. From here, I'm going to begin to just ease into the legs. So I'm going to slide my left knee into the chest, just taking that little bit of release into the back body. And I'm just going to take the left heel to the ceiling, but then do a little cycling movement. So from that position, I'm going to extend my left heel down towards the floor as if I'm taking that cycle movement, and then bend the knee to the chest again on the exhale. So it's an inhale into extension, and then an exhale to release down, an inhale to start the bending of the knee, and an exhale to bring the knee to the chest. So just do a few more times on this left side. And then the next time you move the leg towards the floor, so it's hovering off the floor, reverse the movement. So inhale, lift the leg up to the sky, bend the knee to the chest on the exhale, and then see if you can hover the heel along the floor as you extend through the heel. Picking up the leg, making an arc with the leg, and then drawing the knee to the chest. Okay, next time you bend that left knee to the chest, I am going to get you to actually take the heel to touch the floor and then extend the leg into what we think of as a partial extension. So my left foot is flexed, my knee is slightly bent, but what I want you to do is just to dig into the heel, and as you exhale, point the toes, which should help the leg extend. As you inhale, flex the foot and release the back of the left side of the sacrum and the left side of the ribs to the floor. Exhale, point in the toes. You might find the back of the waist lifts off. Inhale, flex the foot, drop the back of the waist down. Twice more. Next time you flex the foot, you've already got a partially bent knee, so then slide back to semi-supine, really connecting with the left foot to the floor and changing to the right leg. Drawing the right knee to the chest on the exhale, and then inhale, extend the heel to the ceiling. Exhale, lower the leg forward and down towards the floor. And then begin to inhale as you bend the knee, exhaling as the knee comes to the chest. So take about 3 or 4 of those rotations with the right leg. Really inviting weight still into that left foot. Okay, this time as the right leg extends towards the floor, keep the heel just hovering off the floor and then change the movement. So send the right leg up towards the sky, making an arc with the leg, bending the knee to the chest as you exhale, and then gently hovering the heel off the floor as you extend the right leg along the floor. Make an arc with an extended leg, bend the knee to the chest. Do a couple more like that. Really getting these hips moving. And then from there, the next time you bend the right knee to the chest, keep the foot flexed, just release the heel to the floor. And then exhale, scrape the heel along the floor until the leg is almost straight. Then from there, point into the toes, let the leg extend and feel the change in the positioning of the pelvis to the floor. Just do a couple of those, digging the right heel into the floor and just feeling that change to the pelvis, just affecting the hip flexors without you even knowing. And then eventually sliding the heel back to semi-supine. So you know me, I can't help but change these classes each time I do them because it just happens. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to take the bricks. I'm just going to roll off to one side. And I'm just going to bring my brick underneath my sacrum. So I'm easing back into my semi-supine, but I'm going to begin that journey into bridge by peeling the sacrum off the floor and just sliding the brick underneath the sacrum. Now, once I've got the brick underneath the sacrum, I can become much more aware of these hip bones. So have a little feel of your hip bones. The 2 bones that stick out are actually called the ASIS bones, but we're going to call them hip bones just for ease. In fact, for ease, in fact, I'm going to call them hip headlights. So I want your hip headlights to be pointing up towards the ceiling. And then from there, I'm going to get you to see if you can monitor if those hip headlights move out to the side as you move into a bridge pose. So you're already in a partial bridge. So maybe you're just going to turn the palms down. You're going to lengthen the hips, lengthen the spine along the floor and just come to a position of hovering the pelvis off the brick. keeping those hip headlights facing the ceiling, inviting weight into the feet, and keeping the legs maintaining that parallel movement as if you've got a band or a strap wrapped around the legs. From there, releasing all the way back down so that you're resting onto your brick. And then from there, sliding the heels a little bit closer. I'm just going to come to watch it here. And just try that one more time. So heels a little bit close to the bum. Think of your hip headlights. And just see if you can hover the hips off the brick. Lovely job. Excellent. Okay, from there, taking the sacrum back onto the brick. And then from there, just because we've got both legs in this position, it seems a shame not to just have a little balance on the brick. So what I'm going to do is move my brick slightly further back. So it's much more underneath the back of the waist now. So my bottom is slightly falling off the end of the brick. And then from there, one at a time, I'm going to bring the knees to the chest. So I'm still balancing on my brick. And then I just want you to just notice that from this position, you can extend both legs into extension with the heels extending to the sky, but still feeling that you're resting to a degree on the brick. I'm hoping that you feel that you can kind of rest here without any engagement in the hip flexors, because you're just lengthening the back of the body. So some of you may have to stay in a bit more masculine. Some of you might even be able to add in a little bit of feminine and still feel quite balanced. Lovely job. So from there, drawing the knees to the chest once more. And then from there, I'm just trying to think of a way we can get out of this without having to bring the feet to the floor. So I'm wondering if we can take the knees out to the side, bring the feet to touch, and come down in a kind of Baddha Konasana position. So I'm going to take the brick out in Baddha Konasana, that's feet touching, knees moving out to the side. Because I always think that once we've worked really nicely with the back, sometimes if we just plonk the feet down, it just upsets the pelvis again. The good news is we're going to use the brick again because it's going to be our twist tonight. So I'm going to have the brick here in its long way so that I can slide the inner thighs into the brick and once again bring the knees to the chest. And now if you've done this class with me already this week, we're doing the stroking movement, but we're adding in a very specific movement. So I'm going to slide my left arm out in line with my shoulder and roll over onto my left side. Now, amazingly, because I've done what I've just done, sometimes I have to reach with my head, but my head feels quite happy here. If yours doesn't, don't forget to put something underneath your head. I'm going to take my right arm beyond my left fingertips. And yes, I'm going to do the stroking movement, but I want to keep my knees as close to the chest as I can, stacked one on top of the other, and my hips also stacked. So I'm going to extend those right fingertips beyond my left fingertips, turn my forehead into the floor, and then stroke across the floor, across the left arm, up towards the left shoulder. Once I've got the left shoulder covered and I'm moving to the right shoulder, I'm going to bend my left arm and place my left hand outside of the outer right thigh. So I'm going to make sure I'm focusing on keeping my hips stacked. So I won't get as much opening across the top of the chest or the shoulder. So I'm going to take you into a nice elbow rotation here. So it'll feel a little bit restricted because I'm making sure you've got this stacking. Okay, change direction with the elbow. Notice that very often, although we try and stack the legs, we actually unstack them a little bit. We're not very specific about these movements. Okay, then releasing that rotation, undo the left hand from the leg and slide the right arm back across the chest, down the left arm and beyond. Notice the way the hips now stack much easier, because obviously you're closing into the internal rotation into the middle arm. Okay, let's just do one more stroke. We don't have to do the elbow rotation. But on this one, just open the top chest. And notice how to do that, we have to move that top hip away a little bit, even though we're still squeezing the back between the thighs. Okay, slide it back and stay in this position, but just move the legs to 90 degrees. From here, press with the right hand so that you can slide the left elbow or the left hand underneath the head and then release the brick. So from here, I'm just going to work with this side bend movement. So I'm going to inhale, pick up my feet and my lower legs and my right arm. As I exhale, I'm going to lower my feet, my lower legs, and ease my right arm back alongside of the ear. Okay, keep going, picking up the arm and the feet. That'll mean that the hip slightly releases down and the gap underneath the left side of the waist fills. When the arm goes overhead and the feet drop down, the gap of the waist underneath the waist emerges. If that's not happening, use the hip to make it happen. So put your right hand onto the right hip and actually roll the hip away. And you feel that difference. So feet down, hip rolls away, feet lifted, hip rolls in. Good. Okay, from there, we're going to then move this into a lovely leg rotation. So I'm actually going to get you to lift up and come to balance on the arm tonight. I'm going to move my legs away a little bit. So I'm kind of in a sort of leaning mermaid. So my legs are just nice and relaxed, but I'm actually on my hand. Now, if it's too much pressure in your wrist, by all means, come onto your elbow. But just try and just vary in the movement. So I'm going to take my top leg, that's my right leg, I'm going to kick it forward, and then I'm going to bring the heel to the buttock. Now, can you see I'm actually moving my spine as well? So as my heel goes to the buttock, I'm leaning forward. As I kick my heel forward, I'm slightly leaning back. It's just a variation of a theme. Next time I bring my right leg forward, I'm going to bring my right arm outside of the shin and pick up the right ankle. And then I'm going to see if I can stay in contact with that right leg as I kick it forward. You could use your strap. If you can't reach for the ankle, you could wrap the strap around the front of the ankle and do the same movement. Eventually, whether you've got the strap or not, you're going to let that right leg, I'm not mirroring you, the right leg is going to ease and take you into this mermaid position. Got my left leg in front, my right foot is stretching out my Achilles. Yeah? And remember, in this position, you've got the choice or the option of bringing your brick underneath the left knee. So some people find that works when you're trying to release the right sit bone down to the floor. Okay, let's add a twist into this move. So breathing in, bring the right arm alongside of the ear. As you exhale, turn and twist the ribs to the left. Shoulder blade slides down the back, mermaid position. Breathing in. And the next time you exhale, just turn the head to gaze over the right shoulder. So in that very snooty mermaid position. Again, it's stretching this left side of the neck. From this position, make sure you release the neck, so turn the head to the left. And as you turn the body all the way around to center, let's take this into a little bit of Ardha Matsyendrasana. So you're going to pick up your right leg and cross the right foot over the left knee. Now remember, if this is not comfortable for you, you've got options. You can release your left leg and extend it out underneath. So you're in that partial movement. Or you could bring the right foot and cross it inside of the left knee. Both are absolutely fine. It just means we're going to twist in the opposite direction. So we're going to lift up the left arm, wrap it around the front of the right shin, and twist around ribs to the right. And really keep grounding through that right foot. You've really got some connection there. And that grounding is going to help you twist a little bit deeper. It's also going to be a nice transition to move us to the other side. So from there, I'm going to inhale, undo my twist, undo my legs, and actually come on so that I can come onto my back, bring my brick back between my thighs. I'm actually going to move into my on the right side. So I'm taking my right arm out in line with the shoulder as I exhale. I'm going to roll onto my right side. Place my left hand onto my right hand and then move my left fingertips beyond my right fingertips, turning the forehead into the floor. Now remember, we're adding in this stacking on this first move. So as we start to stroke across the chest, up to the left shoulder, we're going to bring the right hand outside of the left knee. So we're going to restrict the movement. We're not going to let the leg move. And then we're going to draw some circles in the air with that left elbow. So again, I'm not saying you should always do this like this. It's just getting you to notice the variations that you can do with your body. Okay, change directions. And of course, every variation will activate different groups of muscles and ligaments and fascia. From there, stroke back across the chest, right arm, and beyond. And then the second, go back to probably what you normally do when you stroke across the chest. Slight relief of that left thigh, even though you think that you're doing the position with the hips stacked, there's a slight release because you're opening the chest. And then ease, cross the arm and down before easing the brick away. Bringing the legs to 90 degrees and bringing the right hand or right elbow underneath the head, ready for that little releasing move. So I'm going to lift my feet, lower legs and my arm up to the sky. That's my inhale. And as I exhale, I'm going to lower my feet, bring my left arm alongside of the ear. So I'm lifting and lowering. Okay, keep going. Let me see if I've got you on that. Lovely. Very simple move, but very effective. Especially if you find that you sink into the hips, and a lot of us do that when we're tired. This is a really effective move if you've got problems with the lumbar spine because of that issue. Okay, next time you lower the feet and lower the arm. Bring the arm out in front. Press yourself upward. Oh no, yes we do. We're coming on to either the elbow or the hand. The hand is just a variation. And then we're using the left leg to do that kick forward and kick back. So it could be a variation you like, or you could be thinking, ooh, quite a lot of movement in the hip joint. I prefer it on my elbow. Please feel free to revert to that. Okay, this time you're going to slide the hand down the front of the shin. And then slide the leg forward using the hand. That's it. This time, release the knee to the floor. Take mermaid position with or without the brick underneath your right knee. From there, picking up the left arm, lengthen through the left side, and as you exhale, turn and twist to the right, spinning the ribs around to the right, especially the left side of the ribs, and then turn the head to gaze over the left shoulder, snootily gazing down towards that left knee. And I know I smile when I say that because it's such a very subtle thing. But if you always twist with the outer hip, outer rib, you'll get a certain result. If you twist with the outer rib and the inner rib, you'll get a different result. Okay, well done. Turn the head to gaze over the right shoulder. Bring the ribs back to the center. And from here, feeling free to move into your version of Ardha Matsyendrasana. So I've just crossed my left leg over the front of my right knee. I'm going to reach into that left foot, lift my right arm, turn and twist to the left and wrap my right arm around that left leg. Just checking out any resistance and checking out how it would feel, not just to use the right side of the ribs, but maybe top tip, think about moving the right hip bone to the left. Ooh. Again, very subtle, but it's going to give you a different result. And then from there, inhaling, release off, slide back to the center, and then just release out with the legs, give them a little wiggle wobble. So we're going to be talking a bit more about these hip bones and how you can use the pelvis in different movements, but just another layer to add to your practice. Okay, so I'm going to swing the legs around. I'm going to come onto all fours. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Now, of course, in all fours position, if we're in a neutral cat position, those hip headlights are very neutral, and you can use them just to find out if you are in a neutral position. And then from there, as you inhale and lengthen the top chest forward to take you into up-facing cat, still trying to keep those headlights even, but noticing they've changed position. Pelvis is changed. As you exhale, chin to the chest, knit the rib cage, lift up with the belly, angry cat. Okay, keep going a couple more times. Just notice there's this changing of the pelvis. Obviously, it's so we've got that chin. And then we're going to start to add in one pelvis at a time. Yeah, I've just seen that's the first time it said I'm unstable. I'm not unstable. So the next time we take the angry cat, we're going to slide the left knee along, the left knee to the nose, sliding the left toes along the floor. And then from there, we're going to ease that left into a 90-degree position, attempting not to turn the hip out to the left, to keep the pelvis level and the hip facing the floor. Okay, try it one more time. Draw the knee to the nose. As you take the leg up behind, think about how you can do that without twisting the spine, which essentially the pelvis will do. Good. Okay, the next time you slide the knee to the nose, drag the toes along the floor, and then from there move into Atlas, flicking over the toes and stretching back into the base of the foot. And then from there, taking the gaze forward, let's move that left foot forward into a lunge, a kneeling down lunge no less. So if we start with the knee in line with the ankle, which is the correct alignment, sometimes what we talk about is sliding the pelvis forward rather than dropping the pelvis down. What we're going to do tonight, and I'm just going to do a quick demo with this wonderful yellow strap that I've got here. I'm just going to put it around my hips. Those big old belts used to wear in the 80s. Do you remember that? Okay, so I'm going to imagine that this is my drawstring. So I've got my two hip bones here, and I'm imagining that I'm tightening the drawstrings around my hip bones. And if I do that, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. I don't know how much you got. Oh, I've frozen again. Maybe I need to move a bit more. So I'll go through that again. Did you hear me say that I'm drawing my hip bones towards each other? Okay, and I'm moving forward or giving the potential to get a bit more space moving forward. Okay, well done. Ease back to the center. Let's just do a down dog in between the two sides. So if you do a down dog while I undo my imaginary strap, checking out the difference between the legs. Hopefully it's a positive difference. And then from there, drop the knees back down to the floor. Take a couple of up-facing cats. 2 angry cats. And then on the third time, as you move into the angry cat, slide the right knee towards the nose. And then take that right leg back into 90 degrees, noticing how much you rotate the hip out and trying to prevent that. Then from there, slide the knee to the nose again. Try it one more time. Notice the length through the front of the hip flexor. And then from there, as you draw the knee to the nose one last time, slide the right toes along the floor. And then flick the toes over, stretch back into Atlas position. Head and neck release, ribcage nuzzling into the thighs. Well done. Okay, from there, I'm going to take this into a lunge. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this side as I did on the other. I'm going to come into my kneeling lunge, and I'm going to attempt in my mind to think about a little bit of drawing inward on those drawstrings, which may give me more potential to move my pelvis forward. You know, I love it when I find out something. And I need to get out more. I'm trying. Okay, from there, once you've got that, slide the hands either side of the foot and ease yourself back into down dog. Hopefully you'll feel that lovely release in your down dog position. It'll feel like a new pose. And then from there, you're going to soften into the knees. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Head and neck release. I wonder if you take the backs of the hands to the floor and release the head, perhaps you're feeling a little bit more connected to your forward fold. You reach into the feet. I'm not going to force you to straighten the legs, but maybe you feel you can lift up through the sit bones and reach down through the heels. And then from there, bending into the knees. Ardha Uttanasana. Taking that lovely squat before sliding the arms away behind you and up into standing position. I'm just going to change my camera. Ooh, got quite a big view of me there. So just have a little wander around your mat. Just see if you can feel this lightness at the hip flexors. I'm just doing a bit of an ionic candle as I'm walking around. Now I want to take that a little bit further. This kind of sense of freedom here at the front of the hips. So what we're going to do initially is we're going to balance on our bricks. So you might want to slide over to a wall or a piece of furniture or something you can just take your fingertips on. And what I'm going to get you to do, and we haven't done this for a long time, but this is about not only thinking about the hip flexors, but actually trying to release some of these side ligaments. There's quite a lot of different ones, but yeah, you don't need to know what they are. You just need to know that they get tight. So I've got my brick on the floor. Now, again, if you can't see me, I'm probably going to demo first, just so that you can see what I'm doing, because it's very specific movement. And I'm even going to roll my shorts up, just so that, to show you my knobbly knees. So this is me balancing on my right foot. So I'm just going to put my right foot onto the brick. And I'm actually going to lift up so that my hips are level. So I've got to soften my right knee, my balancing leg a little bit. And I've got to try and get my hips in a position where they feel even. Once I've done that, I'm then going to try and relax this left leg a little bit. But what I'm not going to do is let my hips go skew-if. So I'm not going to let my hips do that. Yeah, my hips have got to stay level, even though I'm trying to act like Pinocchio and have the left leg kind of hanging off my pelvis. Okay, now sometimes this is done giving the left leg a little pendulum movement, but I'm not sure it adds to it. Sometimes it can turn into a kick, which brings a whole different movement involved with this release. Just hold it for a couple more breaths. Standing leg, I know, takes the pressure. But then as you release off the brick and have a little walk around, I just want you to notice the difference between the leg you've been standing on and the one you've yet to stand on. And again, so that you don't feel as though you're out of kilter, we obviously need to change sides. So same thing on the other side, balancing on your other leg. Now, the setup is the thing that takes the time. So you've got to set up so that your hips are level, and then try and imagine that there's just a thread holding your right leg in place, and you're trying to release that a little bit. It's a very specific move, very subtle move, And at some point, you'll have realised that you'll have overextended your balancing leg, so you'll need to soften it a little bit. Just take a few more breaths. And then from there, release off the brick. Have a little walk around, hopefully feeling even looser now in the hips. Okay, and loose enough to bring our first dancer in. So we've done a bit of balance, we've done a bit of quad stretch, but I want you to come into the dancer the same way that we came into dancer on the floor. So none of this stuff, don't want that. I want you to be very specific about it. So if you know that you are struggling to reach for the ankle, your option is to use your strap. So for those of you that can reach for the ankle, I'm going to balance on my left leg. I'm going to slide my right knee up to, well, not actually up to the chest, just out in front of me. And then I'm going to reach down the front of my right shin and take my dancer, leveling the hips from here. Now, if I can't do that, if I can't reach for the foot, all I have to do is give myself an arm extension by wrapping the strap around the front of the shin or the ankle, and it just gives me a bit of an arm extension. Yeah, so either or, first stage dancer, checking out the pelvis, checking out the standing leg, maybe even checking out if it would help the move to do a little drawstring at the front of the hips. And then from there, easing out, one leg done. Give the legs a shake out in between sides. Now, I'm not going to be the person that says whether it will or make a difference. I just want you to question these things, to check out what's going on in your body and whether it changes if you masculine, feminine, if you knit the hips, don't knit the hips, if you knit the ribs, don't knit the ribs. It's all to keep your mind off whatever else you want to be distracted by. Okay, so same thing on this side. You're completely in with your body, picking up the opposite leg. If you know you're okay to reach for the shin, by all means do that. And then once you've got that positioning, think about where the hips are. It's not just about the balance. Can you lift the front pubis? You can bring the first finger and thumb together. Some of you have already done that. Yes. So concentrate on what's going on within the body, internally. Good. Well done. Okay, releasing, sliding out of position. Hey, give the legs a shake. So we're doing quite a lot with the legs. Next thing we need to ease into before we come into the full dancer position is the shoulders a little bit. So what I'm going to get you to do, I'm just going to go into a bit of Gomakasana, but we're going to do it with the brick. So I'm standing here, feeling my lovely release at the front of the hip flexors. I'm going to pick the brick up into my right hand, reach it towards the sky, and as I exhale, I'm going to take the brick away behind my head. Then I'm going to take my left hand out to the side and see if I can pick the brick from my right hand. And then I'm going to swap sides. Lift it up, release, pick. So I want you to do about 3 sets on each side, and then we're going to bring it into a little vinyasa. Now, yes, You'll probably find one side is easier than the other. The joy of being a human and not a butterfly. And then when you've done your 3 sets, take a little rotation with the shoulders. And from here, all we're going to do is just from the standing position, soften into the knees. I'm just going to get you to hold the brick in your right hand, step back with the left foot. So you're in a high standing lunge. And if you find this is a challenge to balance within, take the left foot slightly over to the left. From there, I'm just going to pick my brick up in front of my body and then slide it up to the sky. Again, does it make any difference if I slightly lift my front pubis and maybe slightly draw my drawstrings in? And then from there, keeping the brick in my right hand, I'm going to drop the brick behind my back, bring my left arm around and hold that Gomukhasana position. So can you see I've developed this kind of feminine at the front half of my body in a little bit of a back bend, which is the same as we would do in dancer. Good. Okay, we're just going to change sides. So I'm going to undo from this side, step forward, take the brick into my left hand, step back with my right, and then just both hands, just stabilizing myself into this standing lunge balance. From here, keep the brick in my left, bend it behind the head, bring the right arm around. And this is the rotten side for me. I'm going to go with it. Going to notice that upper chest lengthening, that smile at my collarbones emerge. But maybe I've got a bit more of a shadow of masculine in the lower part of my body, maybe. Well done. So from here, I'm going to gently ease out of that position. Woo. Stride forward. Good. So our final movement into dancer. We can do it one of 2 ways. So the first way is to use the hand to connect to the shin. So basically it would just become, sorry, I'm going to release my brick down. It would just become an extension of the half dancer. So I'm not decrying that. And if you'd like to do that, that's a choice. I'll just give you a quick demo. We're not going to do it, but I'll give you a quick demo if you'd rather do it. So we'd start with your half dancer, and then you would keep the pelvis responding, so not sliding the right hip out to the side, but just starting to open into the leg. So that's one option. But what I thought we'd do, because we have the straps, is an option that stretches not just the leg and the hip flexor, but also the shoulders. So you can either have the belt around the ankle, that's one option. I've actually tonight made myself a little noose. And that noose is going to wrap around my ankle. Yes, I've made it into like an ankle bracelet. Now, whichever one you do, and they're both valid, on this movement, because we're going to try and move into this full extension of dancer, I'm going to start with my belt behind me, and I'm just going to pick up that foot. Now, what I'm going to do from here is take my belt like a back zip. So I've got both elbows into Gomukhasana, and then from there, I'm going to walk my hands down the strap at the same time as taking a slight extension forward. The only thing is it's a bit of a balance, so you might need to have something in place so that you don't fall forward. But if you've got the balance there, it's a really interesting way of attempting dancer pose without twisting the pelvis too much. Oh yeah, it's good. Louise, nice movement, nice movement. Max is there. Good. Well done. Okay, and then gently easing out. Oh, got some good balances there. Because it might feel as though you're quite vulnerable. You know, you're going forward, but there's not much going on. Okay, if you want to try the other side, please do. It takes a little while to get into it, doesn't it? I was practicing this today with my wetsuit. You see, I'm going to just lift up with my ankle there. And then I'm going to take that wetsuit zipper. And I've got that really nice release through my foot. Try and bend your standing leg. You're probably going to have a little bit of rotation in the left hip, because otherwise you won't be able to lift the leg at all. But try and limit it so that you're not twisting the pelvis. Well done. Gently ease out. Release your lovely strap. Ooh, just got hot now. And again, maybe just pop in a couple of standing pelvic tilts. Because even though you try your very hardest, there'll still be some pressure moving down into the lumbar spine, just because that's where it's most flexible. Good. Okay, so we're going to come down to the floor from here. So I'm going to clasp my hands at the top of my head or slightly behind my head. Draw my elbows towards each other, bend my knees, and just begin to peel down nice and slowly, one vertebrae at a time, until I come onto my hands and knees. And then from there, I'm going to gracefully move on to my tummy. So I'm just going to walk my hands forward, release out. And just check out the surrender at the front of the body. Feeling free to rock the hips from side to side. And we are just going to complete. Now, you can either do recovery position, or you can do a position called flying fish. They both start the same way. So you're going to, from this position, keep the connection of your right side, the front of the hip flexor, the toenails to the floor, and slide the left knee out to that position. Now, of course, it will change the position of the pelvis, but that's okay because the leg is moving. The leg is in a different position. From here, you can turn the head to the right. Stay in this position. This is called recovery position. Or if you want to do something a little more challenging, not very, bring the head back to the center. Imagine that the spine is at 12 o'clock, and then move the spine and the arms and the upper body over to 11 o'clock, or maybe even 10:30. Now you're probably saying, why can't you move to 10? Well, for most people, 10 brings a bit of compression into the left side of the hips. So I want the left side of the hips to be free. And hold it there for probably about 9 or 10 breaths. And then from there, whichever position you've chosen, take as much care moving out of it. So come back to the center, turn the head back onto the hands. Slowly release the left leg. And again, soften at the front of that left side. From there, change sides. Whatever you did on the first side, please feel free to move into on this side. And then once you've completed 9 or 10 breaths on this side, easing out, same care and attention. And then unless you have a real desire to put on any one pose, I wonder if you can move directly from this front relaxing position to position on your back. So just turn yourself over. And again, because the legs. So depending on which position you're in, if you're in Nirvasana, the legs are moving out into a V shape. So therefore, yes, the hip bones will have to move with the legs. Same way if we're doing something like horse position. If you're in semi-supine, hip bones in line with feet. Feet parallel. If you're doing the internal hip rotation, you might find those drawstrings are having to be activated. So there's lots of different things that you may well be accessing here. So as you take this time, the end of our practice, I just want you to be in a position that you can be still in. I don't mean still and tense, but still and serene, relaxed, soft. The thing I want you to think about tonight is this sense of being a body of two halves. So comparing your right side as if you've been chopped down the middle to your left side. Now I just want you to take your attention to the side that you feel is less relaxed. I want you to pay attention to what you could possibly do to encourage that particular side to surrender. And that might not be opening wide, might be releasing deeper into the floor. And then once you've paid attention to one side, the other side will then appear to not be doing the same thing. So now you need to pay attention to your other side. Again, these changes are so subtle that nobody would know if they were looking at you that you were adjusting anything. Easing you into a place of balance. And as we draw to the end of our practice this evening, wherever you are, just going to get you to take a lovely full body stretch. Feeling free to sigh and yawn. And then from there, lifting up with the left side. So lifting up and lengthening out with the left side until you feel the right side shortens. Sliding that right heel towards the sit bone. Inviting weight into the ball of the right foot and the pelvis levels again. And then bringing the right knee to the chest. For a couple of breaths. Extend back out, full body extension. This time though, reaching through the right fingertips, the right toes. Sliding the left heel towards the sit bone. Inviting weight into the ball of the foot and then drawing that left knee to the chest. Just clasping the hands around the front of the shin. And then easing both knees. And at this point, maybe a little rock from side to side. And perhaps even drawing some circles in the air with the knees. opposite direction. And then eventually, gently releasing over to your left side, if that's okay for you, into the fetal position. And then reaching into the hands, easing yourself into sitting. Well done, some good moves there, some good balances. So from here, I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to gather that energy around me, gazing up to the thumbs. And as I exhale, sealing the practice down through my third eye, to the lips and the throat, and to the heart. Well done. Namaste. I'm just going to stop this recording and just